social media can have significant effects on the developing brain and that it can be associated with things like anxiety and depression. My name is Emma Duerden. I'm a Canada Research Chair in Neuroscience and Learning Disorders, and I'm an Associate Professor in the Faculty of Education at Western University. For this study, we're looking at how social media impacts the connectedness in the developing brain in terms of the brain regions responsible for things like learning and memory, planning and monitoring, and other brain regions that are responsible for interacting with others, understanding thoughts and feelings of others. And we're relating that information into teens' mental health and then how they're doing at school. Olivia is a teenager. She's a high school student. She's coming in today to do a brain imaging study. We use a light-based technology. This brain imaging technology is very similar to LED lights, these overhead lights, or the green light in our Apple Watch. And just as the green light can be used to reflect onto our blood vessels in our wrist and tell us about our heart rate, we can use the red light and we can project that into the brain and it will reflect information about blood flow into the brain. And it can tell us about blood flow and as well as about how different parts of the brain are connected with one another and how they can be impacted by things like excessive social media use.
When I'm scrolling on social media, I don't really think about anything. I just scroll. I didn't know how that my brain kind of works like that because I'm just doing it so mindlessly.
This is an international system where each one of these holes, we're putting one of these light sources here, this light-based technology, and we know that it's going and measuring blood flow in a certain part of the brain.
Okay, if you could hold the front for me on the fabric part, I'll just get you to hold right here. Just right above your eyebrows. I can't really see where you're at, but looks pretty good. Yeah, you can do it with the strap.
Feels weird. I feel involved.
We look at how these two brain regions, our cognitive control center and our social brain network, how they are connecting with one another and interacting. We find that for teens who are using social media excessively, that there's actually a disconnect in terms of how these two brain regions are talking with one another, meaning that they're not communicating as efficiently with one another as they might be in someone who's using social media less. What you can see is that we're looking at time here below in relation to the events, that we can see real-time changes in the brain in response to what she's saying.
I feel bad for the future generations because they're going to be exposed to a lot of bad content since they're really, really young.
Constantly being exposed to rewards can impact blood flow, impact chemical messengers, things like dopamine, that those reward-based chemicals that can in turn impact the functioning of the prefrontal cortex, the cognitive control center, and can impact things like decision-making, lead to things like brain fog, brain rot.
Even though it was for a little bit, I still had that experience of not having a phone, but they're not gonna have it at all. And that's that's probably bad for your brain development.